Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Buffalo
Giants
Podcast.
podcast.
One day
Getting
we'll get
there.
it.
Getting there.
We're getting better, getting worse at the same time, it feels like. But, anyways, hey, welcome back. Crazy week 14. Lots of upsets, blowouts, and everything in between. How about nine? Nine had a good week.
He did. He did.
The one good thing that happened for Michigan this week. I'm sure we'll talk
Well,
about the coaching stuff later.
that ignores basketball because basketball we are quite good. So
Wow, okay. Yeah, but this is a football podcast. I don't know anything about basketball, so I'm not going to pretend I do. I mean, there's a reason in our fantasy basketball league, my team was auto drafted,
yes,
and I still
indeed.
kick everyone. That's only because I have people that score 70 points. And I'm
Yes.
just like, I lock you now. I lock you now.
Yes. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And go ahead and lift off here with our Keep Four Cut Four series. If you are new and joining us for the first time, in this series we read off 8 players, one at a time, and the other individual is going to say after each player whether they're going to keep or cut that individual. Today I'm going to be reading off the players to James. We're going to be doing running backs. James, these are all running backs that played during our lifetimes. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to get started. So the first player on this list is Derrick Henry.
Sorry, Derrick Henry. That's cool. But one question: are we doing all time? Is this going to have people that are retired and not retired, or is this current season?
It's going to have people that are retired and not retired, but all of them will have played during our lifetime. I'm looking for you to grade this based on. So some of these players are still playing. So
Okay.
I'm going to be saying that I want you to grade this based on who you think the best players are, not necessarily like what these players may have done, because some players are going to achieve a lot more than what they have
Well,
already.
I'm going to keep Derrick Henry just based on he is the greatest running back I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Fair
He's
enough.
just simply, he's just simply amazing.
Fair enough. All right. So we're keeping Derrick Henry. Second player on this list is Devon Achane.
Well, seeing as how there's retired players and current players, I'm going to cut Devon Achane only because he's only in his third year. I know he's really good, but I have a feeling there's going to be a lot better players coming up, and
Okay.
I'm going to take the risk.
Okay. So we're going to keep Derrick Henry. We're going to cut Devon Achane. So the third player on this list, Bijan Robinson.
I just really wish he wasn't a Falcon. I feel like he's being wasted. And you look at a player like Jahmyr Gibbs that came out of his draft class, and you're like, what if Bijan was there? I'm gonna cut Bijan just based on where he plays and how little he gets to score.
Okay. All right. So keeping Derrick Henry, cutting Devon Achane, cutting Bijan Robinson. Next player on this list, Marshawn Lynch.
Big money Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Well, I'm gonna cut Marshawn Lynch only because I don't think he'll make the Hall of Fame, and he had really awesome plays, but you know, kind of left a sore spot for me as a Bills fan as well. Just not even wanting to be here. And in a lot of interviews, he just literally says he doesn't remember playing here. And it's just like, you do. You just weren't as successful as you were elsewhere.
Fair enough. All right. So keeping Derrick Henry, cutting Devon Achane. Bijan Robinson, and Marshawn Lynch. Next player on this list, Jonathan Taylor.
I'm gonna keep Jonathan Taylor Thomas because he has a cool name and he's a really good player, and he literally is the entire Colts, like heart and soul. And I think if he continues to have the career pace that he's at, I think he could possibly get into the Hall of Fame. And I think if injuries weren't something that affected teams every season, I really think they could have made a deep run.
Fair enough. So keeping Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor, cutting Devon Achan, Bijan Robinson, Marshawn Lynch. Sixth player on this list, Adrian Peterson.
Oh, all day. Yeah, I don't even have to explain. He's obviously a keep.
All right, so keeping Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Adrian Peterson, cutting Devon Achan, Bijan Robinson, Marshawn Lynch. Seventh player on this list, Jahmyr Gibbs.
I may regret this, but I'm going to keep him. He is on an incredible pace. He's past uh, oh my god. He just passed Barry Sanders for youngest player to score so many touchdowns. The dude is just lights out, and it's only going to get better for him in the next year or two when David Montgomery's gone. Statistically wise, maybe the team regresses a little bit, but I mean, dude, he's a cheat code, and he reminds me so much. Like, this is going to sound kind of weird, but he reminds me a lot of Christian McCaffrey, how he can just do everything at an elite level. He can block, he can catch, he can run. Like, it really is like a second coming of Christian McCaffrey, and I think he has the potential to be even better because so far he's stayed healthy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So it's funny you mentioned Christian McCaffrey because the eighth player on this list is Christian McCaffrey.
You know what? I can live with that. I got the better Christian McCaffrey on the list. I got Adrian Peterson, probably top 3 running back of all time. Yeah, I can live with this list. It's pretty good, I think. You really tried to trip me up with those young guys.
Yeah, so just to recap for everyone, we are keeping Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Adrian Peterson, and Jahmyr Gibbs. We are cutting Devon Achan, Bijan Robinson, Marshawn Lynch, and Christian McCaffrey.
I think that was a perfect list, Brian. What would you have done different?
Personally, I probably would have gone Christian McCaffrey in, Jonathan Taylor out. I think that that's probably. I think you could have made an argument as well for Marshawn Lynch and Derrick Henry out, as well, just from the Super Bowl standpoint. Um, so there's an argument I think to be made there as well. Personally, I think I like Adrian Peterson over both of those guys. So that would be my personal preference. But if you're going based on like, like silverware and resume and stuff like that, I think it's hard
Yeah,
not
but I
to say
mean,
Marshawn Lynch there.
I also think, like, okay, cool, he's got a Super Bowl ring, but at the end of the day, he's not going in the Hall of Fame. He's not going to make it.
Think of it though. He's one run. If they run him from the two there, he's basically probably 2 Super Bowls. You know,
Yeah, but
probably.
they didn't. That's the thing. Like, in all reality, they didn't.
Yeah, but
I
the
can't
thing
let
is
I
that
can't
to
let
those
one.
of us that watched it, we all know like that they decided to throw the ball from the two, and that's what cost them that Super Bowl, right? I
Yeah,
don't know about you, I hold that against Pete Carroll and that
I
coaching
was Pete
staff.
Carroll, and
I don't hold that against
I
Marshawn
think
Lynch.
back to that is that, oh, they wanted to give Russell Wilson the MVP, and if Marshawn got the touchdown, he would have been the MVP. And it's like, well, who cares who gets the MVP? You're all getting a ring. That's
Fair.
the way I look at it.
Fair.
And honestly, probably top 3 Super Bowl of all time, like that I've watched in my lifetime. That game was amazing.
That was fantastic. Well, good job there. Good job there, James. Let's go ahead and move on to how many are better.
Okay, cool. So this week's player is, oh my goodness, I had it and I lost it. Did you write it down by any chance?
Egmeka Egbuka.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So I can name one wide receiver better than Emeka Egbuka.
I can name 12 wide receivers better than Emeka Egbuka.
I can name 13 players better than Emeka Egbuka.
I can name
I just really want to say
16 players better than Emeka Egbuka.
I can name 17 players better than Egbuka.
I'm going to make you name 17.
Son of a gun. Okay. So I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson.
Really?
I'm going to go with.
Why and how?
Oh, we're just doing off this season. My bad. I thought we were doing. Okay. I'm going to take Jamar Chase.
Okay.
That's fair. I'm going to take T. Higgins. He's been incredible the last couple months. Holy crap.
Okay. He had a very slow start when I
but Mbuka's had a really slow second half of the season, so it kind of evens out.
True.
I would say even out. I mean, he's got way more touchdowns than Mbuka at this point. He's up to 8.
True.
Mbuka's only at 5. So I got to name 17.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Fair.
I'm gonna take CD and Pickens.
Fair.
That's 5.
Yep.
Okay, so not going to take anybody off Philadelphia or New York. If Malik Neighbors was healthy, I would have taken him because I think he was going to have an amazing season. Washington, absolutely not. Debo's, no. All right, so South. I'd take Tedaro McMillan over him, actually.
Okay. I'll give
I like
him.
To you. That's sure. 7. Okay. Who else is in that division? Chris Olave's had a really good season.
Sure.
I'll take him at 8. 9. So who else is in that division? Who's that team I'm forgetting? The Falcons? Drake London and him are probably having an identical season. If Drake London didn't get hurt, he'd probably be doing better.
Agreed.
Mike Evans, absolutely not. Chris Godwin, no. So we're done over there. So we're going to go to the Rams. Puka, Devontae.
Take both, sure.
That's 11. Who else is over there? JSN, that's 12. That's undamn deniable. All right. Who are the other 2 teams in that division? The 49ers? Everyone's been hurt over there or came in relief and not playing anymore. Who's the other team in that division?
Cardinals.
Man, I want to say Michael Wilson, but I know you won't give it to me. He's been incredible. He's been on a freaking...
In the weeks that Marvin Harrison does not play, yes, he's been good.
He's fantasy wide receiver for the last... He's fantasy wide receiver number 1 for the last month.
Well, that's because Marvin Harrison hasn't played in, 3 of those 4 games?
He hasn't played in a month. Like, he played, half a game 2 weeks ago?
Correct.
And then now he's got the heel injury. So we're still at 12?
Yep.
Okay. Let's move over to the AFC North. I only did the Bengals. Can't say Zay Flowers or DK Metcalf. Nobody on the Browns, so I'm done in the AFC North already. AFC East, Stephon Diggs. He's played better. That's 13. He's got almost 1,000 yards already.
Okay.
Not Booty, not Hollins. So I think I'm done with New England. Nobody on Buffalo has been better than Mbuka. So we're at 13. The Jets, absolutely not. They're a dumpster fire. So AFC South, I'm taking Jacoby Myers, man. That dude's been hot all year.
I wouldn't say all year. Have you seen his stats with the Raiders?
I mean, when he got traded to the Jets, he had some good games in Oakland, though. All right, I'll let it go. So we won't say anybody from the Jags. The Colts, Alex Pierce. That one you'd have to look up.
That one, I'm pretty sure I don't because I can tell you for sure that Alec Pierce only became relevant like week 8 on.
Okay, I thought he was solid the whole season. Maybe it was
No,
Pittman that fell off.
Pittman fell off and was the main guy. Downs was honestly the number 2 to start the year as well. So Pierce was like kind of like a one catch a game deep threat kind of a
So,
guy.
will you give me Nico Collins?
Yes.
Since week 4, he's been really good.
Yes.
So 14, AFC West. Rashid Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's close. He's been hot. And Mbuka's been cold since week 6. Rice for 15?
I'll give you Rice.
15. All right. Who else is in that division? Nobody on Oakland at this point. Trey Tucker only had one big game. Bowers isn't a wide receiver. So Oakland's out. LA, they've been kind of like the Bills, where it's just whatever guy's hot that game. And then nobody else on the Chiefs. And then the Broncos. They're the same idea as the Bills. There's no one player that does everything. I think that's all the divisions. Can't say Jameson Williams. He's only had 3 good games. Oh, Rome. Nah, he fell off too much too, didn't he? He's had a couple 0 games, hasn't he?
I was gonna say, like, we were just talking about like the last month of Michael Wilson. This is the exact opposite.
Yeah, he kind of fell off. Packers, they're just too many mouths to feed there. And then I already did Detroit. So that NFC North is completely dead. I did the West. I did the East completely. And then I did the South because that was the 49ers Cardinals. All right, I'm going to say Debo to get to 16. You have to tell me, though. I don't really know his stat line. I know he's done decent.
I'll give you Debo.
So 16. This is a lot harder than you all think watching this. When the camera's on. Waddle's been good, but I feel like he didn't do anything until Tyreek got hurt. I feel like that's true. And they started really cold this year. They started 0-4, didn't they?
Yeah, I think you could even extend that out to like 2-5, 2-6, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they started slow. I think I'm stuck at 16. There's no one else I can really think of that's jumping off the page. Is there anyone that you think I missed?
No. You got to remember that I thought that 16 was where I was going to go to. And you've named 16, but that 17th I was not willing to bite. So, yeah, if you
I lose. Okay. And now, for our last funny game, haha, of the week. We're gonna do talk when you get a player better. I'm gonna go with a quarterback, and I'm gonna say you name me a player when you hear a player better than Lamar Jackson this season only. Okay, so Bryce Young. Okay, Daniel Dimes. Okay, Jacoby Brissett. Okay, thought about it. Mac Jones. Not gonna say Stafford because I know that's a guaranteed yes. Uh, Sam Darnold. You're taking it?
Yeah, I would take Sam Darnold.
Okay, you can talk.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they both have the same amount of interceptions and yards. The only thing that Sam Darnold is doing better than anyone in the entire world is the freaking deep ball.
That's the big reason why I would take Sam Darnold. Is that he's basically, for me, he's the. It's crazy to say this because you would think that Lamar Jackson is the king of complementary to the run game, like piece with his ability to do the option. But I would say that Darnold's ability to take the top off the defense has been a bigger deal to the Seahawks. I think it's a big reason why they have the record that they do and why that record is so much better than the Ravens record. Um, and it's allowed for them to have kind of JSN have this breakout season and be like pretty much wide receiver one in the league. Um, because essentially they can just be unpredictable and they have this run first team and offense, but they're able to sustain a first class passing attack with that. So Sam Darnold, he's been playing at a very high level the last couple of years now. It remains to be seen whether or not he can do that in the playoffs, but Lamar Jackson hasn't necessarily shown that he can do it in the playoffs either.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about this season, right?
Yeah.
Where I've watched Darnold play in every game, and I've not watched Lamar Jackson be available in every game. And for much of the season, Darnold was playing at an MVP level. It was only a couple of weeks ago that he really started to fall off that pace and play at a much more human level.
Yeah.
I would absolutely take Darnold.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? They both really suck in the playoffs, so it's fair. I mean, I know Sam only got one game, but I mean, look at Lamar's numbers in the playoffs. He's played in, I believe, 5 playoff games, and it's just not pretty. Actually, it's 6. He's lost to Buffalo twice, the Chiefs once. He lost to the other teams that he lost to that I can't remember off the top of my head. I know he's only played Patrick Mahomes once in the playoffs. I know he's played Josh Allen twice in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure he lost to um, the Chargers his rookie year, where he started the playoff game. I think he came in relief of Joe Flacco in like week 11, give or take. So he played about a little bit over a third of the season. And then I can't remember who the other 2 losses are to. I would imagine not amazing teams. I know he didn't. His first playoff game he ever won was against the Texans. I know that, but I don't remember the other 2 losses off the top of my head. But I'm also a huge Ravens hater, so I would have taken Daniel Dimes over him.
Yeah, I
I feel
mean,
like Daniel Dimes had a much better season,
I
but
I
he got
hear
hurt.
I hear you on that, and you know, the injuries is mostly what plays into that for me. You know, the injuries being the fractured fibula, number one, but obviously the torn Achilles, number two. So, um, you know, that obviously, you can't play a guy who's going to be on injury reserve the rest of the season. So, that plays into it as well. The other thing too is that you got to consider, I think, you know, who Daniel Jones stepped into was throwing the ball to, who he had running the ball next to him as well. Yeah, I think he's just got a better supporting cast um, than guys like Lamar Jackson. And Darnold, even I would say, Darnold has a great supporting cast. Don't get me wrong, but I would say that was wide receiving corps. It's certainly better after the Rashid Shaheed trade. But I'd say that the Downs, Pittman, Pierce, and previously Adonai Mitchell side was definitely better. So
for sure. And I mean, it's not like he knew that Sauce was going to go down. What, a game and a half, a game and a quarter into his tenure with the Colts, and it's not like he's going anywhere. They'll have him next year, and possibly again this year. I know that he didn't tear his his Achilles. I know it's just a strain, but it all depends on how Phil Rivers does filling in. It looks like he's going to have to play this week with Riley Leonard out. So I'm very scared for Phil Rivers against the Seahawks. I mean, if Unk still got it, cool, but I don't know. I honestly think I would have. Huh?
they better figure out how to run the ball again with Jonathan Taylor. That's for damn sure. It's a game that they absolutely have to win, and the Seahawks don't need by any means, other than to keep pace in their division. So,
Yeah, I mean, I still think the Seahawks. At the end of the day, I think it's either the Seahawks and or the Rams that are going to the NFC portion of the Super Bowl. I don't think there's any teams that are even remotely close to them. And it just stinks that they're both in the same division. It's good for us, but for them, it's like, dang. I never.
I think the Packers could surprise some people. Yeah, no one I think likes them all that much because of the fact that they like to roll out the variety of wide receivers that they do. Um, but if Josh Jacobs is healthy, and therefore, we're gonna learn a lot this week. They have they obviously beat the Bears last week, which showed us something. But they have the Broncos in Denver this week. So we're going to learn a lot about whether or not they're going to be able to run the ball against good defenses in tough environments. I wouldn't be surprised if they do show us in that game that they can do it, that they have the minerals to potentially take one of those teams. I watched that Panthers Rams game like play by play, and I saw that you can get after the Rams if you are disciplined, you commit to the run, and then you hit them over the top. I watched the Panthers do that to success and beat them. So I certainly think you can get to them. And then the Seahawks again, you got to play pretty much a flawless game, but you know Rams have beaten them, so it's certainly possible.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, that's all the games for this week. It was a lot of fun as always. We'll take a quick little break, and then we'll get into the Week 14 review of all our games, and then our deep dive on the Cowboys Lions game for Brian and the Bills Bengals game. All right, guys, here we go. We're jumping into Week 14. The first game we got on the schedule was Lions and Dallas, but we're going to cover that at the end of the show because that's going to be Brian's game of the week. So I get the pleasure of talking about the Titans. If I do remember correctly, we both agreed that the Browns were going to win this game, and it wasn't going to be particularly interesting. Boy, were we wrong. I mean, Cam Ward had 2 touchdowns in this game. He didn't pass the ball very much, with very much success, other than the 2 touchdowns. Took a sack and an interception, but this game was all about Tony Pollard, the guy that nobody had started or most people didn't even have on their team anymore. And so he went off. He had 2 touchdowns, 161 yards, 25 carries, and a 65-yard long. I believe he was running back 1 for the week as well. So I don't think we'll see that again this season. So I'm not going to go out on a limb and pick him up this week. But, if you managed to keep him the whole season and started him, you had a fun day. Receiving wise, more of the same. Just Spears continuing to look decent in the catching game. Shamir had 5 receptions for 24 yards and a touchdown, so his day was saved with the touchdown. Gunnar Helm had his quietest game in a while. He only had 1 reception for 8 yards. The other tight end, Onaku, he went 2 for 20, so pretty quiet day from him. Defensively, they had a forced fumble and a recovery. Gray got the fumble recovery, and we had the fumble from Xavier Woods. So they did good there. Okay. Welcome back, Brian.
Welcome back.
All right. So I'll just finish up this segment real quick. Only thing on special teams of note was the punter. He had 8 punts for 383 yards, which is a lot of punts for scoring 31 points in a game and 29 on the other side. And Joey Sly, he went for a cool 7 points, 1 for 1 on field goals and 4 extra points.
Very good. Yeah. Getting into the Browns here, kind of underwhelming from their defense. I think that's the big reason between why we thought the Browns were going to win this game pretty handedly and why it ultimately ended up being a Tennessee Titans win. We did highlight Myles Garrett. He did get a sack in this one. Carson Schweshinger continued to have a great rookie season, 12 total tackles. In this one, Devin Bush came up with an interception as well. But really, really bad rushing day from them. Quinshon Judkins, 14 carries for 26 yards. It was their passing game that really got most of their points for them. 23 of 42 for sure. Sanders, 364, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, took 2 sacks. A lot of that going to Harold Fannin, who had 11 targets, 8 receptions, 114 yards, and a touchdown. You also had Jerry Jeudy finally getting in, besides one other week on the party. 5 targets, 3 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown for him as well there. You did have Quinshon Judkins adding a 58-yard catch on 3 targets as well. And then Dylan Sampson also getting some passing work as well. 6 targets, 5 catches, 64 yards for him. So more underwhelming work for Njoku. I believe he got hurt in this one on a touchdown catch that he had. The one catch that he had was a touchdown. I believe he got hurt on that catch. Jerome Ford had a couple of catches for 10 yards. I believe he's already on injured reserve at this point in the week. And then Cedric Tillman, 1 catch on 3 targets for 23 yards. So not a lot going on there. Isaiah Vaughn, 2 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards. So, not a lot to speak about there. not even anything on here for Jamari Thrash or guys like that. So, um, you know, I think the big one for the Browns here is that you do have Shador Sanders continuing to step up. He's certainly making the most of the opportunity that he's being given here. Again, pretty underwhelming from Quinshon Jenkins. Really good on Shador Sanders for being able to make Harold Fannin continue to break out. Especially when Njoku goes down. The defense, you're certainly hoping that they're able to do more and impact the game more when they're playing such a bad team like the Titans, especially at home. They really kind of let the Titans jump out in the third quarter and early fourth. Allowed them to score a bunch of unanswered points that ultimately the Browns just couldn't come back from. They did mount a pretty significant comeback, but it wasn't enough in the end. So, that's certainly something that they're going to have to clean up. They are a 3-10 team at the end of the day, so this is probably just a 3-10 team playing like it. But certainly, I think they all circled this on their calendars, hoping to beat the Titans in this one, and ultimately they drop it.
Yeah, and it was a fun game to watch on Red Zone for sure. But at the end of the day, I actually am going to place some of the blame on Kevin Stefanski from this game, because I don't know if you saw the final play from the Browns offense after they scored their touchdown to Harold. They went for two and they pulled Shador off the field, and they had Quinshon Jenkins run a wildcat and then throw a pass. It was one of the worst 2-point conversion plays I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know. I know that I know how we feel about Shador here. We kind of like him, but we're kind of like, you're going to be a big distraction. You're going to turn into a Manziel kind of thing. But, I mean, if he was playing that good, he should have been out there for that play. And that is just setting him up for failure. Like, I know, and it's not all about him, but he plays the most important position for their team in the league. Like kid seems like he's got a lot of talent. It really does. And he played good against the 49ers. I mean, I know they only scored 8 points, but when he was able to throw the ball and they let him, he played good. And he played good against the Raiders. Like, he hasn't looked bad besides against the Ravens when he came in to take over for Gabriel. Like, I don't know. I just wouldn't have done that if I was the head coach. I would have at least given my kid a shot to run his first 2-point play. I don't agree with the coaching. I really like Kevin, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's sabotaging him. It was a knucklehead decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think to defend Kevin Stefanski a little bit, like I think in many ways you shouldn't need the trickery in order to beat the Tennessee Titans. Like, the trickery should just be the thing that gets you over the line in the end because of the unpredictability. Yeah. But in the end, like you got to take the temperature a little bit. Like, I think is what you're saying. Like Quinshon Jenkins, we just mentioned, had less than 30 yards on 14 carries, so very ineffective on the day. You got to think that the defense kind of knows when he's in the game that we got to stack the box, and I get that you're trying to throw a wrinkle in there, but Shador Sanders had a really really good game in this one and was much more effective than Quinshon Jenkins, really in all facets. So like you said, just one, let your rookie, try and get you what you need in that moment. But two, you just got to look at how the game is going, and from an evaluation standpoint, say if we need this 2-point conversion right here from the two, Sanders is much more likely to get that for us than Jenkins is running or throwing the ball for us.
Yeah, I mean, he was the best player on the field in that game. Like, he was balling, and it's not like it was all screen passes. He actually threw real passes in that game. And again, I know you're playing the lonely Titans, but I mean, you gotta do the right thing. But Anywho's moving on over to Seattle Seahawks versus the what are they these days? The Alt Falcons. They're not even Atlanta anymore. They're just Alt. Man, our little buddy, the guy who we thought was gonna possibly be in the MVP race, maybe getting back in it. Possibly. Sam Darnold, a cool 20 for 30, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 2 sacks. Like, he balled out. The running game, very complimentary. We got a new guy getting a little bit more involved in Jones Jr. He had 4 for 32. Sharps, he had 7 for 46, and then 10 for Kenneth Walker. No rushing touchdowns in this game. He also had Drew Lock. Oh, he nailed it out. Never mind. Sam Darnold went 3 for 23, so over 100 yards all added up together, rushing the ball. Jackson Smith and Jigba had a very, very fun game. He went 7 for 92, 2 touchdowns. Rashid Shaheed finally getting involved in the offense this week. He went 4 for 67. Cooper Kupp, I think, got his first touchdown since week 2 in this game. He had 2 catches for 35 yards. And then the starting tight end over there, A.J. Barner, he went 3 for 27. Nothing crazy, off 4 tackles. Earl Jones had himself a good tackle day. He had 5 regular and 6 assisted. Still my favorite defensive player over there by a long shot. They got an interception off Naru Imaranu, or Waru. He's a player you like a lot. He went 5 for 1 on top of that. And then the only other player I want to specify and look at is what Love did. Because I didn't really see him much in this game, and it was his first game back. He just had 1 assisted tackle in this game, so I just wanted to look for fantasy reasons. Rashid Shaheed also had 148 yards returning the ball on on kick returns, and had a touchdown. So yeah, they had a really fun day. And then your start of the week for kickers, Josh Myers, he went a cool 13 points. So look at you knowing what you're talking about, my friend. But coming out of this game, Seahawks look like one of the best teams in the league, and we'll see what happens with them. But hopefully Sam and JSN and the gang of running backs can continue to keep pounding, and getting Rashid Shaheed more involved is definitely not going to hurt the team at all. And it takes a lot of pressure off Cooper Kupp to just be open when he's open, Very talented squad over there, though. Very proud of them, and keep on going.
Yeah, yeah. Finally a game that kind of goes as we expected. With the Seahawks kind of blowing the doors off the Falcons in this one. Falcons were really able, or the Seahawks were really able to limit Bijan from a rushing perspective. Um, they were able to keep him still, he's still going to get above 4 yards a carry. Got 86 on 20 carries, so 4.3 a carry. But they were able to manage that as well as the receiving aspect. Only 2 catches for 8 yards for Bijan there, so really kind of keeping him to a modest, very good day rather than a superhuman one, which he's had a number of this season. Darnell Mooney, the top target over there, or I should say wide receiver 1 over there, 4 targets, 1 catch for 6 yards. So really goes to show just how shut down the Seahawks cornerbacks were in this one. Kyle Pitts was the most efficient receiving target. He had 10 targets, 6 receptions, 90 yards. So very good day from him. Probably was one of the better tight ends throughout fantasy last week. But this continues to be kind of a wasteland, this offense. You have Kirk Cousins manning the ship, who went 15 of 30, 162, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and took a sack, 38 and a half quarterback rating. So not inspiring a lot of confidence for even when Drake London comes back, if and when he does from his week-to-week injury. The defense, they did make some impact plays. You had AJ Terrell Jr. with a forced fumble, as well as Mike Hughes with an interception. Um, he did have a couple of sacks, one from James Pierce Jr. and one from Contavious Street. But ultimately, that's just not enough from the Falcons. All they could really muster was 3 field goals. In the first, second, and fourth quarters. By the time halftime rolled around, it was 6-6. But by the time they kicked that field goal again in the fourth quarter, they were already losing by well over 17 points. So, just really, really tough from the Falcons. You know, was always going to be tough with how good the Seahawks are, and how the Falcons really don't have a lot to play for, don't have their best talent at the moment, with again how good the Seahawks defense is, you had to think that they were going to try their best to lock up Bijan. And when you do that, there's really not much else the Falcons can do, especially with the personnel that they have. So.
One fun thing I want to say on the Falcons. Well, not fun for Falcons fans or the Falcons, but for people that like competently fun football. I want to throw this out there to you, though. We may have talked about it already in real life, but we haven't talked about it on here. If honestly, if the Falcons keep losing, I could see a world where the Rams could get Mendoza and have him learn from Stafford, and I think that would be crazy. I mean, now's the time to do it. Maybe got 1, maybe 2 years if you're lucky left of Stafford. I think it would be a good time to do it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably the same amount of time that they have with Devontae Adams. So surely they would need to reload at that position, and that's one way that they could do it. Um, I think that Falcons pick. The Falcons are at 4 wins. The Giants right now are number one, but are tied with the Raiders and Falcons with 2 wins. Or I'm sorry, Raiders and um, Raiders and Titans with 2 wins. So, and the Raiders do play the Giants before the end of the regular season. So, uh, there could be a shuffle in that somewhere. But regardless of how you slice it, any of those teams would have to lose twice in order for the Rams to get all the way up there. It would be most likely that they trade up to get there,
Yeah.
And trade wherever this pick ends up being, in order to do that. I know that the Giants would certainly listen if that's something that they asked about, because the Giants, if they get the number one pick, will be looking to move down. As a result, they'll probably look to try and get a wide receiver more at like 5, or a good offensive lineman, um, and try to get additional picks for it. So,
Yeah.
That's kind of what I see happening there.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting draft. It's very top heavy and then kind of flames out from what I'm understanding.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
we'll see.
You have Mendoza, you have
nothing
Dante
as
Moore.
bad as 2013.
Yeah, so you have Mendoza, you have Dante Moore. We'll see about Ty Simpson, but those are really like the only quarterbacks of real note of first round quality. And both Dante Moore as well as Ty Simpson, they don't have to declare this year. They could go back to college next year. So that's why it's so because Mendoza is the only one guaranteed to come out. That's first round quality. That's why it's so top heavy, as you were saying.
All right, and moving on to the Colts versus Jaguars. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Daniel Jones went down with a non-contact injury, and he did tear his Achilles tendons on the right leg, so he's done for the season. And then Riley Patterson also got hurt in this game. So the craziest news of the week that I jokingly said to you, hey, that they get Rivers. Really didn't think this would happen. But yeah, there is a real opportunity that in 2025, the great Philip Rivers can start for the Indianapolis Colts this week. I don't think either of us really thought this was going to happen. But to cover more about the game, Riley, after Jones went down, he went 5 for 70 for 60 yards. He looked like he was going to have a pretty good game. But the curse of the Colts playing in Duval continued to strike in this game. Riley Leonard went 18 for 29. He had a touchdown rushing the ball. Jonathan Taylor went for 21 attempts, 74 yards, and had a touchdown. That's pretty much all that happened on offense. Tyler Warren had the worst game of his professional career. He had one reception for 2 yards. So, yeah, it was not a fun day for him. Alex Pierce was 5 for 80, and then Michael Pittman went 9 for 79. Everything else is irrelevant. Jonathan Taylor had a fumble in this game as well. Indy had 0 interceptions. They had 0 sacks in this game as well. So not a great day for the defense. And then they went perfect on extra points and got 1 field goal from their kicker. So yeah, it was not a fun day for Indianapolis. I feel really bad for them, man. 3 weeks ago, they were the first seed in the entire conference. Now they're out of the playoffs right now. If the playoffs ended today, you don't love to see that, but you know what? Hopefully, Daniel Dimes can come back next year, re-sign with the Colts, and/or go to Minnesota. The only 2 places I really see him fitting in, coming off this kind of injury. But I hope he can continue to have the success that he was having this year, because it'd be nice to see him have a decent little career after, kind of fumbling the bag in New York. But, also he only had so much around him. I don't even think he ever played with Malik Neighbors, did he?
No.
I didn't think so. So, yeah, poor Danny, but you know what? He's a tough guy. He'll come back from it, and we'll see what happens for them.
Yeah, moving on to the Jaguars. Jaguars they did their thing in this one. They hopped all over the Colts in this one. By halftime it was 28-10. So they had this thing pretty much wrapped up by then. As you mentioned, they got after Daniel Jones in this one. Daniel Jones was coming into this one with a fractured fibula, and he tore his Achilles on his opposite leg. In this one, so that just really goes to, it was a non-contact injury. Just goes to show you kind of like how much he was both compensating for that, as well as the Jaguars kind of like forcing the issue a bit throughout this game. And really good on the Jaguars defense for being able to bottle up for the most part. Jonathan Taylor, apart from the last couple of weeks, has been on a MVP pace, and they were able to kind of keep him human in this one. Um, you know, in addition to the defense playing well, especially the run defense, this was kind of Trevor Lawrence continuing to put up a solid performance. 17 of 30, 244, and 2 touchdowns. Travis Etienne Jr. Kind of coming back to form this week after having a down week before. This one, 20 carries for 74 yards, so not the most efficient, but 2 touchdowns. To add to that, Brian Thomas Jr. Really wanted to highlight this one because he was the leading receiver for the Jaguars in this one. Really important to note that because it's been a storied thing, the connection between him and Trevor Lawrence, and whether Trevor Lawrence is the guy in Jacksonville because of the inability to get things right with Brian Thomas Jr. So, top receiver this week, 6 targets, 3 catches, 87 yards. You put that against Jacoby Myers, who had 10 targets. So more targets than Brian Thomas, but only had 4 catches for 39 yards. He did have a touchdown. And then you did have Tim Patrick soaking up 6 targets, 5 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown as well. Brendan Strange, kind of his first normal game since coming back a few weeks ago. 3 catches, 27 yards. Did have 6 targets in this one, so remains to be one of the highest targeted guys on this team. Um, and that's really it in terms of guys to speak of from the receiving perspective. Bashal Tune only 2 carries in this one, so he had been bolstering some stuff in the past, but nothing really in this one. And then just on the defensive side of the ball, Greg Newsom the second with an interception, Devin Lloyd with an interception, Josh Hines Allen with a sack, and then Jerry and Jones with a fumble recovery as well. So just plays all over this defense. Um, Again, they did a really good job stopping the run in this one, and they get a really important win, divisional win at home. Both teams coming into this one 8-4. So this is a really big win against Jackson or against Indianapolis, and really big for the Jaguars in keeping that 1 game lead that they have over the Texans in the AFC South.
I hope the Jags win that division. In all seriousness, I the only like in all seriousness, the only team I'm afraid of in the AFC right now is that Texans defense. Like that's ferocious. I thought they were dead in the water when they started 0-3, 0-3 or 4. But you know what? Both these teams are coming on at the right time, and it's going to be a fun little battle at the end. Uh, I think the Colts are the odd man out at this point. I think we both agree there. Yeah.
Especially with the Daniel Jones injury, yeah.
But hopefully, like I said, hopefully they can redo this next year and get some more success out of it. Either way, I can say from the bottom of my brain to the top of my brain that Daniel Jones exceeded all expectations. And
we'll see if he's the same player when he comes back. He probably won't be ready for the start of next year. So
probably
even if
not.
it
I
is the
wouldn't think he'd be
Colts,
ready till October.
even if it is the Colts, you're talking about Anthony Richardson being able to bridge the gap there and pass the baton. Um, or you're talking about a team being able to compete enough while he's out, so that when he comes back in, that they're able to do something. And the other thing too is he going to be able to be the same guy when he comes in? Is he going to be able to use his legs to the same extent? He's not only going to be recovering from this torn Achilles in one leg, but he's got a fractured fibula in the other leg. What does
And he
that
might
look
have to
like and
even get
stuff?
surgery on that. God only knows how bad that was. They didn't tell us. He just kept playing. I think the Colts. I'm not saying that they set him up for failure completely, but he probably shouldn't have been out there for a couple weeks. I know they really had nobody to come in though, so I get what they were doing, but
And they're pushing for the playoffs too. You know what I mean? Like how could you not? And if you're him, why would you want to hold up like that? That could be extra money in your pocket if you
right.
end up competing on a team that makes the playoffs, goes on a deep playoff run, all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the stuff that gets you paid. You don't get paid for regular season accomplishments
Correct.
very much. But hey, like we said, we wish the best for Daniel here, and we'll see what happens next year for him. But he's going to be on the back burner for a long time until we get through to the regular or the free agency and stuff like that. So rest in peace for a while, Danny. All right. Well, that's going to do it for now. And jumping back into things over here, we got the Washington Commanders versus the Minnesota Vikings. I get the pleasure of talking about the Minnesota Vikings. Or, sorry, the Washington Commanders. I had the Vikings last week both times, so I think I'm just used to saying them. So what we had go down in this game was Jaden Daniels get hurt. They got pretty much bum rush from the beginning. Looking at things here, it was 7-4 much there. But Jaden Daniels hurt that same elbow again. He's out this coming week as well. I think his season's over. I mean, I don't even really understand why they put him back out there. They were already uh, 3-9, no hope of playoffs. Like, why don't you just let the kid heal up for the whole rest of the season and off season, get back to work next year? I mean, he's still on a rookie deal, so it's not like you're paying him exorbitant amounts of money. He went 9 for 20, 78 yards, a sack and an interception. Mariota went 2 for 4 for 30. They ran the ball with some success without scoring. I mean, they got over 100 yards for the first time in a long time. Um, and in the beginning of the game, I thought Terry McLaurin was going to have a really good day. I mean, he got them 3 catches right in a row. And then I look back on it a couple hours later and I was like, huh, he's still at the same stat line. Oh, they have 0 points. I didn't really pay very close attention to this game. This was on during the Bills game, so but yeah, it just was ugly. Bobby Wagner had a really good day for him. Von Miller got a whole sack to himself in this game. Gerard Payne got a sack too, so they were getting at 9, but nothing really, nothing really stopped him in this game. But yeah, I don't have much on them. I think we both agree that we're done on the Commanders this season, other than just covering their games. They have no fantasy relevance anymore in the playoffs. I mean, it hasn't been good for weeks. The only one I would really start from there is Terry or Debo because they occasionally pop off. But that's if you're super desperate and don't have anyone else. Now that there's no bye weeks and in the playoffs, you're going with what you think is best going to happen. But go ahead and talk about the Vikings.
Yeah, just one last thing, parting note on the Commanders. Zach Ertz did have a pretty catastrophic knee injury in this one, so
Yep.
just wanted to mention that because that does have some fantasy relevance as well. Uh, so just bear that in mind. If you were leaning on Zach Ertz, you will be without him in the fantasy playoffs. Um, Getting into the Vikings, really really happy to see this from the Vikings. Obviously being a Michigan fan, JJ McCarthy, they allowed him to kind of be a game manager in this one, kind of just be able to be complementary to the run game. A perfect example of that is that McCarthy threw the ball 23 times in this game. They ran the ball 34 times in this game, so that just goes to show you the balance that they wanted to have. McCarthy ended up going 16 of 23 for 163 and 3 touchdowns. As you said, he did pick up 4 sacks, but had a very, very good quarterback rating of 129.2. You had Aaron Jones on the ground, 14 of 76. Jordan Mason adding 11 of 52 or 11 for 52 with a touchdown as well. The receivers, pretty modest days from guys like Jordan Addison, 4 catches for 62. Bad days from guys like Justin Jefferson, 2 catches, 11 yards. Hawkinson, 2 catches, 12 yards. Instead, all of the tight end production went to Josh Oliver. He had both catches for touchdowns, 2 catches for 24 yards and 2 touchdowns there. Jalen Naylor continues to put up some noise very quietly, 3 catches for 30 yards if you were in need of a desperate wide receiver play. But really, it was just a this team. Let's not sell the defense short. They did have interceptions from Harrison Smith, Andrew Van Ginkel, which was a pretty incredible interception. Popped it up to himself and intercepted it. And then you had Javon Hargrave, who also had a forced fumble and fumble recovery in this game. So the defense balled out. And they were able to get this win. What was probably most impressive was that they were able to keep a shutout in this game. It's been a very, very difficult season for the Vikings. They're 5-8 after winning this win, but they were able to get a very impressive win in front of their home fans. The Commanders won a game against the Lions last year and got into the NFC Championship game. So it's I know they're banged up. And they haven't necessarily been playing well this season, but that's still a big win for the Vikings given how they've been playing.
Yeah, and I'll just do my funny shout out for this. I started John Oliver in our 32 captains league, so it was fun for me.
I bet.
I I had one injury, so I had to cover his spot and put him in, and I was like, whatever. I got lucky there, made the playoffs. Now I have to go play the Texans, so that'll be fun.
Good luck.
But yeah, thanks. I need it. I lost to him by 3 points last time, so hoping I could pull it out. At least it was close. But moving on over to the Saints at Buccaneers. Man, them Buccaneers are just falling apart. They lost again this week on top of this game. Whew. Guess who's in first place in the division, Brian?
Those Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. And they played the Saints this week, so hopefully they can beat the Saints.
Well, they did
They
lose to
lost
the
last
Saints
time.
the first time, yes.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, just win. And if you beat the Buccaneers once, you're in the playoffs. That's all you have to do.
That is correct, but easier said than done.
I know. Oh, I know. Trust me, I know. But looking at the Saints, is Tyler Schlo? Is he going to be good?
Shuck has been playing pretty good of late. I can't lie.
I mean, I feel like both their quarterbacks played for not knowing what they had. I think both quarterbacks looked very decent in this offense, and I don't think your biggest need is quarterback right now for them. I mean, he's even got some legs. I mean, he had a pretty big run in this game, I think, for a touchdown too.
He did.
I wish it would show me the stat line, but I know
You're
he
good.
had a run.
It was a 34-yard rushing touchdown. Yes.
Yeah. Kid's doing pretty good. Oh, here we go. I was looking at receiving somehow. I thought I was in rushing. Yeah, I see it. He had 7 for 55 and 2 rushing touchdowns, and then he went 13 for 20 for 144 yards. He did get sacked 3 times and throw an interception, but I mean, for a guy that he's older rookie, I believe, if I remember correctly, he's looking pretty well seasoned compared to some of the other quarterbacks we have seen. I think he's played better than Cam Ward this season.
And there's a lot to be said about who Cam Ward is throwing the ball to and running the ball for the Titans there versus the Saints there. I think there's also a pretty big gap between Kellen Moore and who is running the offense out there in Tennessee.
That's very true. That's very true.
So I hear you on the production. I don't know if from a talent perspective I would agree.
I'm just talking production wise. I'm sure that when Cam Ward, if Tennessee can find anyone to come in and be a competent coach, I think they could turn things around. It's not gonna happen all in one off season though. I don't think that AFC South is surprisingly becoming challenging now. There's 3 really good teams in there, so Cam might get held down either way, just based on that. But Neal, the running back, he's looking pretty good. He might replace Kamara at this point. I mean, Kamara's going to be 32 this year coming up.
I believe so.
So maybe he calls it a day. This is definitely his worst season ever as a pro. Taysom Hill, he did nothing in this game. He actually got you negative 1.5 points in this game. So that's fun. Chris Olave, 3 for 30. He slowed down since he got that back spasm injury, but, they're doing enough to win, Defensively, they had 1 sack from Taylor, and that's about all they did crazy on defense. Kicking, they went 3 for 3 on extra points, no field goal, or 1 field goal and 1 field goal missed from Smythe, the kid with the interesting story from the foreign leagues. So hopefully he gets to keep his job. But other than that, yeah, there's not much to go here. This is just a big vibes win for the Saints. I think, give them another off season and maybe they're competing for that NFC South championship. I mean, I think this division reminds me a lot of the South a couple years back where it was 2 teams fighting for it, but the underneath looked decent. I think they're going to be in the same boat in a couple years compared to the AFC South. I think we're getting to a point also where there's just so much talent that I think it could be not that it could be almost anybody's year, but I think it'll be closer to that. I don't think we'll ever truly be at that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying with that. I think a lot of what we're seeing with this division this year is a product of Mike Evans and Godwin having been out as long as they've been. Jalen McMillan as well,
Yep.
and Bucky Irving as well. So you're
And
talking
then
about
all their defensive injuries too.
yeah. So you're talking about like four different guys, starters on that Bucks offense who have missed I would say at least over 4 weeks apiece this season. And a lot of them much closer to I would say 8 or more weeks. So you're talking
Yeah.
about almost half the season without some of your best players there. So yeah, I think there is still probably a gap between the Bucks and some of those other teams when healthy. Obviously I don't know how many more years Mike Evans will be there. This may very well be his last there in Tampa Bay. So it remains to be seen whether or not he will be someone that's in the mix. But Jalen McMillan, kind of splashed in this game. This this past weekend. So not not this game right here, but they did play on Thursday night, and he and Mike Evans both came back and had a lot of production, especially Mike Evans. So, but getting back to this game, the Bucks, they absolutely needed this one, and they dropped it. So the division is still in their hands. They've got 2 games against the Panthers that if they win both, regardless of what happens with that Saints game with the Panthers this week, that they could still win that division and get into the playoffs. I think that that's very likely given the fact that they've got some of those offensive pieces back. But
Hmm.
in this one, really they attempted to throw the ball a lot more than they should have, particularly in the second half. There was one point in the second half where they were up by 14 points I want to say the third quarter. Um, and they kind of allowed the Saints back into the game. Baker Mayfield was super inefficient in this one, 14 of 30 for 122 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 55.1. So really, really not great from him. Again, working without Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan in this game. So, still down a couple of pieces. You did have Chris Godwin, kind of have kind of start to break out in the sense that he was the number one target and wide receiver on this team. 8 targets to 5 receptions, 55 yards. In comparison, you compare that to Egbuka, who had 9 targets but only 2 catches for 15 yards. Bucky Irving having a couple of catches for 26 yards and a touchdown in there. Also added 15 rushes for 55 yards. So pretty good efficiency there, just under 4 yards a carry. You did have Rashad White adding another 11 yards for 53, or 11 carries for 53 yards, 4.8 a carry. So they were relatively efficient on the ground. You add in Sean Tucker 7 for 29, another running back with over 4 yards a carry, and I'm really really shocked they didn't try to run the ball more in the second half, try to make it more of a time of possession game, and try and squeeze the life out of the Saints. But they kind of allowed them into the game by being as pass happy as they were, and that ended up coming back to bite them in this game by allowing the Saints back into it. Um, I spoke about all the receiving guys and the rushing guys. I spoke about Baker Mayfield. The defense, you did have an interception from Zion McCullum. You did have a sack from Chris Braswell, along with Greg Gaines and Vita Vea. Good to see Vita Vea get on the sheet. Really good player there. But largely underwhelming day. I mean, you got to expect the Bucks to win this game at home against the Saints, who are now with this win a 3-10 football team. It's simply inexcusable. I understand that they're without some of their top guys, but 2 catches for 15 yards from Ibuka. I'm sorry, that's just not good enough. From the guy getting the most targets on the team. So, um, this was kind of a catastrophe for them. They are very lucky that they have those games against the Panthers remaining, and that this doesn't put any major dent in their playoff hopes and division hopes. But it certainly was not a good look for them, given the fact that they absolutely needed this game.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing I want to say on the Buccaneers is like, I don't care how much you're hurt. I mean, you're playing the Saints that have one true wide receiver and one true tight end, and a gaggle of running backs that have shown talent but are not household names. It's not like they have this amazing defense anymore. Their defense is very, very old for the most part. And like the Saints have been playing with more heart than any team that I've seen in a long time that has been out since basically week 6, and they just keep trying to play for their coach, and it's amazing to watch and see, but at the same time, it's like you are a team that has won this division for 6 years, 7 years straight between you and Tom Brady, and like you know, I think a lot of it also comes down to I don't think Todd Bowles is a coach that can get this done. Like he's a good coach, but he's a coordinator to me. You need a real head coach. Like the guy is just like future us can talk about, but he had a very passionate uh, closing segment this week from his last game. But I mean that's also not the way you do it either. I mean, I just think that it's time to move on and bring somebody else in. Uh, you know, I I I I also think they're suffering from Liam Cohen leaving now. I mean, it's like they want to run the same playbook for the whole season, and it's like where Liam would mix things around. Like they were very talented on that side of the ball, and now it just looks like, oh, dump off pass, oh, try to go for a deep ball to Mbuka, oh, it's third down, we'll run for 3 yards and we'll punt the ball. Like that's not a recipe. But yeah, that's all I got on them. Anything else for you, brother?
No, nothing else for me. You want to kick us off with the Steelers and that Steelers Ravens game?
Yep, absolutely. So this game was a very fun game to watch. Actually, I watched a decent amount of this through Red Zone. Um, a very controversial game, to say the least. But that's more on your side of the ball, so I'll let you carry on with that. Aaron Rodgers, he looked a lot better than he did last week. He went 23 for 34, 284 yards and a touchdown, 103.1 rating. They still can't run the ball this week. They ran the ball for less than 50 yards this entire game. It looks like they were at like 44. Um, they did get a touchdown with Aaron Rodgers running and Gainwell. But yeah, DK Metcalf has risen from the dead finally. 7 receptions for 148 yards. 0 touchdowns, unfortunately. Jalen Warren took some screen passes for 49 yards and a touchdown. Calvin Austin, he had a quiet day, but he did go 1 for 31. And then Gainwell caught 6 passes, 27 yards. So it's almost like the running backs are keeping their fantasy days alive just with catching the ball. My boy Caleb Johnson did absolutely nothing again. 2 rushes for 2 yards, or 4 yards, sorry. And then the tight end room continues to be frustrating. Everyone gets a catch or two and gets 12 yards. And then usually they get a touchdown, and you don't know which one's going to get the touchdown. But they didn't get any touchdowns this week. Adam Thielen ran 1 route. He got a reception for 4 yards, so good for Thielen. It's got to be weird watching Vikings legend Adam Thielen catch passes from Aaron Rodgers. You only see that in the Pro Bowl. It's kind of ugly. And then one other thing to mention on the Steelers before we go over their defense. TJ Watt is out this coming week. He has something wrong with his lung, and it sounds pretty serious. So be interesting to see how that goes for them. But Alex Highsmith, second game in a row, over 7 tackles, and he got a sack. So good day for him. John Pierre got an interception, and then that's about it for shout-outs for them. And then old Boswell went 2 for 2 on field goals and 3 for 3 on extra points, giving you a solid 9 points. And then wherever the distances were, that's why he's a fantasy kicking expert. But yeah, Pittsburgh's currently in the driver's seat for this division. They got a game in hand already over the Ravens. They got a game in hand over the Bengals. So if they win 1 or 2 more games, I mean, it's all but over. And week 18 might not even matter at that point against the Ravens. If they could beat the Dolphins this week, I think their playoff chances and winning the division chances go up to about 98%. So keep pounding for Pittsburgh. Obviously, as the residential Ravens despiser, I am okay with this plan. But at the same time, I also want to see the best games possible, But I just don't. I don't think the Ravens have it this year in general. Just they've been awful. But yeah, go ahead and talk about the Ravens, Brian.
Yeah, so the Ravens dropped this game at home to the Steelers. Just a game they absolutely had to have. This was a game where both teams coming in at 6-6. Whoever wins is going to be a game up in the division. It has that head to head as well, and then gets that divisional win. As well to boot. Um, really simply, the Ravens didn't play very much impactful defense in this one. They had 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, 0 forced fumbles, 0 fumble recoveries. So, they didn't do anything on the defensive side to impact the game. And then on top of that, Lamar Jackson continued to be very average. 19 of 35, 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, took 2 sacks for a quarterback rating of 71.0. Just more average quarterback play and just in general football play from Lamar. He did have 7 rushes for 43 yards and a touchdown in this one. So he did show a little bit more on the ground than he has in the past few weeks. Maybe showing a little bit more health in comparison to what we've seen recently. But it's frankly not enough. He needs to be getting the ball to guys like Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Zay Flowers at a consistent rate, and he seems to only be able to get them to one or two, never all three. So in this game, Zay Flowers had a good one, 8 catches, 124 yards. Isaiah Likely had a decent game, 4 catches for 25 yards and a touchdown. He did have a second touchdown that was ruled out because of a fumble as he was crossing the goal line, and was recovered by the Steelers. So um, he would have had an even better day, but unfortunately that got called back. Um, Mark Andrews really the disappointing one in this one. 1 catch for 9 yards on 5 targets. So the fall for Mark Andrews is certainly seemingly coming in here. We just spoke about him on the How Many Players Are Better episode just not that long ago, and it seems like likely now that he's back and healthy, maybe taking over the tight end one spot there on that team. Last guy
And
I
they,
want to mention
they
here.
just and they just re-signed Mark Andrews for another 3 years and a crap ton of money. I
Yeah,
don't get it.
and it
I
was
don't think
literally
they're.
It was
I don't
literally
think they're
like
going to
within
keep
the last 10 days, too. Yeah. So it's not like they
yeah.
hadn't seen all of this happening before they inked him to that deal.
And and I think it has a lot to do with Mr. Harbaugh because that's his boy. And I would as much as I clown on Lamar. I do take him as a real quarterback, and he is a good player. I think that these good players should have a little bit more say in who they want to be throwing the ball to and who they want around. And I get that Lamar loves Mark, but that's a crazy deal to me. I just had to throw that in there. And the touchdown by Likely was called back. It was crazily called back. It was a touchdown. They said he didn't make a football move. I think the Ravens got screwed out of this win personally. That was crazy. But
I
continue.
completely agree. I mean, it was absolutely blasphemous that they. He took, they said that he didn't get the third step in, I want to say, but he
What's a
like
third
turned.
step? I've never heard of that. Like we
I,
keep changing what a catch is every season. It just doesn't make sense. And it literally happened on Thursday night, and it was a touchdown. So it's like, what are we doing here?
in a game that has much less relevance than this one did
Exactly.
too. Yeah, so it was pretty unbelievable. Just wanted to get to the rushers for the Ravens. Derrick Henry, 25 carries for 94 yards. Decent game, not the most efficient from him, but certainly getting on the stat sheet, you just fell a little bit short of that milestone. Keaton Mitchell continues to show some burst backing up Derrick Henry. 6 runs for 76 yards in this one, and a long of 55. So definitely providing a little bit of juice um, when Derrick Henry's not in the game. But like we spoke about, the Ravens really, you got to feel that they did enough to win this game, and they got robbed in some ways. In some other ways, ultimately in the fourth quarter, their defense did a good enough job in shutting out the Steelers, but they had to settle for 2 field goals. And so ultimately, I think that proves to be the difference in this one. A lot of times you can't walk around, blaming the refs for you losing the game. You have to figure out ways to be able to win the game and not allow the refs to decide it for you. Um, and I'm very much of the mindset
Yeah.
that if they get a touchdown on one or both of those drives in the fourth quarter, that we're having a very different conversation here. So, um, you
And
know,
you also can't go. Okay, you get the ball back with 2 minutes and 2 timeouts, and you have Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and your whole assortment of weapons healthy besides Rashad Bateman. Uh, and you're playing the pathetic, pathetic defense of the Steelers that's been so on and off. You're telling me you couldn't even get into field goal range? Like, that's insane to me. And how do you run out of time with 2 timeouts? And you have 2 timeouts with like 8 seconds to go. What are you doing? Like, I don't get it. They're such a frustrating team right now. You know, you could have thrown the ball away and did better at that point. Or spiked it. Like, you have 2 timeouts in your pocket. Why aren't you using them? Like, are we brain dead this week? Like, it just, like, I don't think the NFL is completely rigged, but that game just was like, if you watched it back, you'd be like, and it was the first football game you ever seen, and that's how you based off your football education, you would look like the dumbest person in America.
yeah, I mean,
It was crazy.
it is maddening how the Ravens have found ways to lose games this year. I mean, they've done it really from like week one, and haven't looked
Yeah,
back. But that's also what
they
makes this
shouldn't have
team so.
lost to us.
Yeah,
They shouldn't even
it,
have lost to the Bills. They were up
yeah.
15 with 3 minutes.
You got to thank Ed Oliver for that one because that if he
Yeah,
doesn't get Derrick Henry to fumble that ball, that game's over anyway, right? So, um,
right.
but
And how do you punt on your side of the field when you need 3 yards for a first down on fourth down? I'm going for it. This team, I can't stop them in this last 2 minutes, and I'm just gonna let them walk all over me. Like, I'm glad they did in that game, but like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, just let's use critical thinking. And I get it. You're like, it's week one, whatever. But like, your whole season, you've been broken. You
yeah,
you can't even, like, Lamar's lost more games in with being on the field than when he was out. Like,
yeah,
and honestly, if you never started Cooper Rush and you started Snoop Huntley, they'd probably be in a playoff position right now. Still, I mean, I don't know why you're running Cooper Rush out there when your offense is about running and a running quarterback. When you have Snoop Huntley there the whole time, I'm sorry, Cooper Rush is a good pocket quarterback, but he can't do what Lamar does or Snoop does. Like, it's just, I don't get it. I need John Harbaugh to be fired, for God's sakes. He's getting just as bad as Tomlin. They
yeah.
can't,
I mean,
like,
it like you're saying, it is maddening how they're finding ways to lose these games. It seems to be something different or a mixture of different things every week. Sometimes it's seemingly that they forget that they have Derrick Henry in the backfield. Sometimes it's that they're forcing Lamar Jackson to seemingly play in games where he shouldn't be in whatsoever. Sometimes it seems like they're choosing the wrong quarterback to be playing when Lamar Jackson is out. So it's a myriad of different errors. It's somewhat coming down to injuries as well. You had Lamar Jackson, but as well as Roquan Smith missing games this year as well. So um, this team, they're very very dangerous, right? Like if they're able to figure out some of these play calling, some of these coaching things that have been holding them back, there's really no reason why I don't think that they couldn't win, a number of games in a row, potentially win out and win their division, and do some damage in the playoffs. But there's not a lot of reason to believe that that's going to happen the way that they've been playing, and especially the way that Lamar has been playing these last few weeks.
I mean, and I don't even mean to sound cocky, but I mean, even if they do, they run right into us right away. And we have been their kryptonite in the playoffs. Like, we are their Mahomes. Mahomes is our Mahomes. Like, they can't beat us. Maybe this story will be different with us having to go to Baltimore, but I really don't think so.
Well, I think that's enough for that Steelers Ravens game. Let's go ahead and move on to that next one.
All right, and jumping back into things, we got the Miami Dolphins versus the New Jersey Jets. Tua turned the ball over, had a game, kind of, for him. It was a quiet day, but they didn't really need to pass the ball. It was like a running game for sure. But he went 127, or he had 127 yards and a touchdown. He got sacked once, but Jalen Wright and Devon Achane carried the load in this game. Jalen Wright went 24 for 107 and a touchdown. Devon Achane went 7 for 92 and a touchdown. Got hurt on a play. Hurt his rib, fell on the ball really hard. He is good to go this following week. Mike McDaniel even said, I kept him out of the game because we were in control of the game. If it got tight, he would have went back out there. Ollie Gordon had 5 rushes for 17 yards and a touchdown. So very, very good ground game for the Miami Dolphins this week. Even Darren Waller got in a rushing attempt for 4 yards. And then Jalen Waddle, he played really good in this game for how many yards were thrown. He went 5 for 50 for a touchdown, so he got you over 10 points this week. He did his job. Their tight end, Greg Dulcich, he went 3 for 41, and Darren Waller went 1 for 13. And Devon Achane also got a passing attempt and 1 for 13. So he made the most of his day there. I mean, for how early he went down, obviously you're used to more fantasy points, but you weren't terribly angry. And then defensively, they had 3 interceptions, all for 1. I do believe that it was Terrell Dotson had 1, Eric Bonner had 1, and Rasul Douglas had 1. Rasul Douglas was also AFC Player of the Week this week for the defensive side of the ball, which was very surprising because he only had 1 interception and 2 tackles. But I think it's because you can't have 2 players from the same team be Offensive Player of the Week, or Offense and Defensive Player of the Week, or I do believe it would have been Christian Benford, but we'll get there. But yeah, they played really good on defense. Tyrod Taylor got hurt very early into this game, and the game plan just went to hell in a handbasket for the Jets. And then, they did their job with kicking. Riley Patterson went for 100% this game, 2 for 2 on kicking field goals and 4 for 4 on extra points, giving them a grand total of 10 extra points out of him. So he did his job. As much as I want the Steelers to win against Miami this week, I also want Miami to win out and make the playoffs because I want a third crack at them. I really want to end their season. And I would really like for Mike McDaniel to win a playoff game this year. I think that the man has proven the haters wrong, and he has coached his absolute butt off this last couple months. This team's played inspired football, and I have enjoyed every second of it. I don't hate Miami by any means necessary. I don't wish ill will on them. They are not the Jets. They are not the Patriots. They've just been irrelevant my whole life for the most part. And, they deserve some happiness too. And, we're really starting to get a competent AFC East again. The Jets are the Jets. They're a fundamentally broken team. I don't think they'll ever figure it out. I mean, we're back in the same position they were in 4 years ago, where they have a bunch of first-round picks, and they picked the wrong people last time. I just, I don't see it at the end of the day.
All right, so moving on to the Jets here. Like you said, Tyrod Taylor got hurt very early on in this game. I believe it was the second series of the game for the Jets. He finished 1 of 4 for 6 yards, and that interception that you spoke about, 1 of the 3. Brady Cook came in and threw 2 more. He finished 14 of 30 for 163 yards. A 0 quarterback rating for Tyrod Taylor, a 35.8 quarterback rating for Brady Cook. So really just absolutely abysmal quarterback play from the Jets in this one. You did have Brees Hall getting 14 carries for 43 yards on the ground. Really underwhelming day from him. I would say your only couple of guys that you could smile about if you're a Jets fan was Mason Taylor getting 5 catches for 51 yards on 8 targets. And then a couple more on defense. You had Quincy Williams getting a sack, as well as Jamie and Sherwood getting in on 15 total tackles, which is pretty enormous for one game for a linebacker. So that was probably the best things there. You did have a special teams touchdown coming from Isaiah Williams on a punt return, a 78-yard touchdown. That came in the first quarter, but that was the only touchdown they scored in the entire game. They only mustered 3 more points in the fourth quarter. So there's not really much to speak about here on the Jets. No interceptions, no forced fumbles, no fumble recoveries to speak about. So I'm really ready to move on to our next matchup.
Absolutely, man. They just straight up are trashola. They can't get a win to save their lives when it comes to the quarterback position.
Yeah, just really rough there.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to the Broncos at the Raiders. This game was over at halftime. Vegas rallied towards the end, but it's because Denver took their foot off the gas and didn't care. But Bo Nix went 31 for 38, 212 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3 sacks. RJ Harvey had a really good game. He went 17 for 75 and 1 touchdown rushing the ball. Bo Nix had a rushing touchdown. And then receiving wise, I do believe Harvey got another one. No, he just went 6 receptions for 25 yards. Sutton went 6 for 62. And then I said the Bo Nix run, touchdown. We must have had some defensive touchdowns, or we had a lot of field goals. No. I really don't know where the rest of these points are coming from at this point. Maybe I'm missing something. Got 2 rushing touchdowns. We got no passing touchdowns. That only equals 14.
Yeah, so you had a punt return touchdown.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Marvin Mims. Yeah, that was incredible. I do remember that now. That gets us to 21, and then we had a field goal. So, yeah. Marvin Mims, he's probably a good pickup in fantasy in deeper leagues at this point. Hopefully he gets back into the receiving game a little bit more. Don't know why they stopped using him. He had some early success in the beginning of the season, but it's not like Pat Bryant's a world beater. But the Broncos are just a team of picking off teams and hoping the defense does enough to win the game. I mean, they're not by any means an offensive juggernaut this season compared to last year. They had a lot more success on the offensive side of the ball last year. But hey, they are 11-2 for a reason. It's not like they're a garbage team by any means necessary. It'll be interesting to see if they can get this offense going at a higher pace going into the playoffs for them to have some success. But I feel like they've been a very on and off team offensively. I mean, they're a fourth quarter team, don't get me wrong, but even that the fourth quarter part slowed down. They're starting to score early now and just leave off the gas. It's like, why don't you just keep going? Get some really big statement wins. Like, not that this game could have been a statement win. You're playing the 2-11, or at the time, the 2-10 Raiders. I mean, not world beaters by any means necessary, but, I just like to see more consistency on the offense. I like to see Bo Nix throw some actual touchdowns. I feel like he has less than 15 on the entire season, passing wise. But yeah, I know they're getting the job done, so can't bitch too much at the end of the day. Go ahead and move on to the lowly Raiders.
Yeah, so I've got the Raiders in this one. Really, only a couple of things to talk about. For this game, the Raiders, the way this game really went was that they only scored 1 touchdown when the game was actually competitive. That was in the first quarter with Geno Smith throwing a touchdown to Brock Bowers. They then proceeded to not score any points until the fourth quarter, and then in garbage time had a touchdown to Cedric Jackson, his only catch of the game for a 25-yard score. That one came from Kenny Pickett. It was so far into garbage time. Um, so it really just goes to show you how far away this game was. Before I move on to some of the the offensive guys, I just want to cover some of the defense because they ultimately were the guys that had to play a lot of this game. Devin White, really wanted to shout him out. He had 10 solo tackles and then 9 assisted tackles on top of that. So nearly a 20 tackle game from him, which is absolutely insane. Props to Devin White in that one. You also had sacks from Jeremy Chin as well as Max Crosby. So just wanted to shout those guys out, 2 really good players, putting up some stats there. Moving on to the QBs. So you had Geno Smith going 13 of 21 for 116, 1 touchdown, and took 3 sacks. Very lackluster game from him. Pretty average with what he's been doing all season. You did have Kenny Pickett come in and go 8 of 11 for 97 yards and touchdown. Did take a sack, but obviously played a lot better than Geno did when Geno was in. We spoke about Brock Bowers getting a touchdown. He finished with 4 catches for 46 yards and that touchdown. And then Jack Beck really stepped forward in this one. Really big rookie and dynasty candidate. He ended up catching all of his targets, 6 catches, 50 yards. So definitely someone to look forward to there. He outpaced in terms of targets as well as receptions and catches Trey Tucker in this one. So really something to look forward to there. And then Ashton Genty, just wanted to mention him for fantasy purposes, really. 10 carries, 30 yards, added 2 catches for 8 yards as well. So very, very modest game from him. Kind of a big bust of a pick this season. In fantasy, continuing to put that up, pretty much expected when you're playing the Broncos and that defense. Just wanted to reiterate the score, 24-17, really flatters the Raiders. They put up 10 points in that fourth quarter when the game was pretty much over. So really, we just wanted to stress that if you just looked at this final and thought that this game was at all close, you would be mistaken. This was one where the Raiders kind of made it respectable at the very end.
But yeah, moving on over to the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. Whew, man. How about them Rams, man? Every week, it's how about them Rams. For good or bad. But man, a lot of good here this week. Matthew Stafford, 22 for 31, another 3 touchdowns, 281 yards, 131.1 rating. Dude's my MVP this season so far. Blake Corum keeps coming on strong. 12 carries for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 13 for 84 and a touchdown. Man, that's turning into a 1-2 punch. You don't know who's 1 and who's 2 each week. It's scary fantasy-wise, but you're enjoying it when you're watching it. And they even got another running back that went 8 for 41 in Ryan Rivers. And Jimmy Garoppolo had 3 carries. I think that's just him kneeling, to be honest.
Correct.
Puka Nacua, though, man, he had a game of the season for him. 7 for 167, 2 touchdowns off 11 targets. Devontae Adams, his first quiet game in a long time. First game without a touchdown since week 3. He went 4 for 29. The tight end got involved. He got a touchdown, 3 for 32. Cody Parkinson. Kyron took 2 attempts for 13 yards. Or 2 catches for 13 yards. And then a whole bunch of ones that are irrelevant because they didn't score, so not going to worry about them. Defensively, we had 2 sacks. That was by Young and Kobe Turner. He's having a pretty good season for a guy that's a depth piece for sure. And then I want to see what my boy Braden Fisk did. He got nothing on the stat sheet this week. Doesn't happen a lot, so at least the Cardinals had that to say. They blocked him well. Cameron Kitchens doing his best to hit that All-Pro status this season. He's been incredible. The stat sheet won't show that, but that one sack from being a safety, it's pretty amazing. He's been almost impossible to get past in the secondary, and when the ball goes towards him, man, he's just knocking them down left and right. Same with Curl, man. Just two really good players over there. You can't throw on them. You can't run on them well. I mean, they can be got, but it's rare. Just incredible, man. And then Thicker, the kicker, he went 1 for 1 on field goals and 6 for 6 on extra points. He had a easily very good, quiet day. Just not enough good things you could say about the Rams. They can run the ball again. The running game slowed down for a couple weeks there, but it seems like it's back and ready to run people's throats down. So, I mean, I don't know, man. They're looking more complete every week. You know, I would say the Panthers game was just a trap game, and they're rolling.
Yeah,
Good to
just
see.
wanted to clarify. It's Hunter Mevis, I believe, that's kicking for the Rams at the moment.
Yeah, his nickname's Thicker the kicker,
Ah,
not Dicker,
okay.
not Dicker,
I
Thicker.
I just heard you say that, and I was like, did he mean Dicker the Kicker? Okay, so I
No,
got you. I
he's
got you.
Thicker. He's a fat boy. He's a fat boy kicker. His nickname's Thicker the kicker.
Ah, very good.
He's a fan. He's been a fan favorite just from coming from the United Football League or whatever they're calling that secondary league these days. XFL. It's had so many name changes. I can't keep up. But yeah, he's from there. He's been on NFL teams before, but this is the first time he's gotten some actual success replacing John Cartney over there. So yeah, it's been fun to watch him just because he's a really big boy, dude.
Yeah,
And we haven't had a thick kicker since kind of Chenikowski, so
that's right.
it's
But
always fun to see the thicker kickers.
yeah, moving on to the Cardinals. You know, Cardinals. I've just gotten a number of these teams that have not played very competitively in some of these games. You know, the Cardinals, they scored the first touchdown of the game. You know, a touchdown to Michael Wilson from Jacoby Brissett. They got a field goal. You know, to make the game 10-10. But then they proceeded to give up 35 unanswered points. In this one, that basically spelled the end of the game. And they did get a garbage time touchdown again to Michael Wilson, you know, from Jacoby Brissett. So Michael Wilson finished with a great game in this one. 11 catches, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns on 16 targets. Continues to remain like unbelievably good when Marvin Harrison is out and Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback. That has been a rocket fuel for Michael Wilson when that situation is the case, and even more so with Greg Dortch being out of this game. You know, he was absolutely on fire. He even stole some of Trey McBride's thunder in this game. McBride finishing with only 5 catches and 58 yards, probably a lot due to that good Rams defense and wanting to try and limit him to the best of their ability. Jacoby Brissett going 25 of 44, 271, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 sacks in this one. So not the best game in the world, but he obviously did everything that he could to try to get the Cardinals to score some points in this game. You know, the running game not very good at all. A lot to be desired. You know, the only guys healthy for this one, Bam Knight and Michael Carter. Bam Knight, 7 carries, 16 yards. Michael Carter, 3 carries, 13 yards. So really just horrible game script and not very many carries to speak of as a result. Um, you know, not really many other guys to speak about in the receiving category or on the defense as well. You know, everyone sub 10 tackles, no sacks, no interceptions, no forced fumbles, and no fumble recovery. So, really just kind of a mauling of a game by the Rams, you know, going down to Arizona and pulverizing the Cardinals there. Yeah, I don't really have much more to speak of.
Yeah, the Cardinals are they're dead in the water with the running back position. It's putting a lot of pressure on Jacoby, but still better than Kyler Murray would have done, I think.
Agreed.
So I'm not going to complain. He got enough points to make you not pissed off in fantasy football this week. Like, he's just been a solid spot starter, and you were never using him at the end of the day if you were trying to win a championship. He's just been the blessing that keeps giving. So I'm not very down on him. As far as the offense, the Cardinals, it still produces points. I mean, they're doing everything they can. They don't have a lot of wins for a reason. Marvin Harrison's been out probably 60% of the season this year. I mean, and Michael Wilson's played better than him anyways. So I mean, are you really complaining at this point? I think it's just for what they have, they're doing their jobs at the end of the day, and I can't complain. But moving on over to the next game, the Bears at Packers. Oh no, my Bears lost, Brian. They went from the first seed to the seventh seed in the matter of 7 days. Let's talk about it though. Caleb, he had a really bad first half. I ain't gonna lie. He made up for it in the second half. Unfortunately, he threw the game-sealing interception when they were going to go tie the game, or trying to tie the game. Can't say they were gonna. They didn't. But yeah, he went 19 for 35, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and a sack. The running game got slowed down exponentially compared to what we're used to, which we both said would probably have to happen for the Packers to win. Swift went for 4.8 yards a carry off 63 yards on 13 attempts. Kyle Guy had 4.1 off of 14 attempts for 57 yards, 0 touchdowns for both. And then Caleb went 4 for 15. Receiving wise, they had 2 touchdowns. One went to Colston Loveland. He went 4 for 29. Luther Burton was the wide receiver of the week at 4 for 67, 0 touchdowns. And the other touchdown went to Ozeshki, who 2 for 7 and a tutter. And then they had 1 return touchdown. And yeah, that's how they got their 21 points. So very, very interesting game on their part. Defensively, they played good. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had a interception. I think a lot of it just came down to that last play. I think we would have went into overtime. Obviously, if he threw it to DJ Moore, who was wide open, they ran the same play that they did to end the Eagles game. I don't know why they were doing that. They weren't looking for a first down. They were looking for a touchdown. It was second and goal. So there was no first down to be had. Why we're running almost trickery plays at this point, bootlegs, I don't know, but I'm not going to get down on Ben Johnson. He's had an incredible season as a first-year head coach. Either way, the Bears are going in the right direction. We're not going backwards. I have all the faith in the world that they can still compete for this division. They're only 1 game back. Not even. It's a half a game at this point. They both have 9 wins. So they have the Packers next week after this coming week of games where they play this. I want to say they play the Browns this week. So hopefully they can get that win. And then, we figure out who's winning the division in week 17.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. But go ahead and talk about the Packers.
Yeah, so I'll pick it up with the Packers. The Packers end up winning this game 28-21 at home, a game that they really needed to win, given the fact that it was at home against the number 1 seed in the NFC and number 1 seed in their division at the moment. So really big win for them. The recipe for success in this one was balance. They threw the ball 25 times. They ran the ball 25 times. Josh Jacobs with 20 of those carries, Jaden Reed with 2 of those carries, and Emmanuel Wilson with 3 of those carries. I say that to point out that they tried to mix it up a little bit, forced the Bears to keep themselves honest with that run game, and then they really hurt them over the top. 3 of their touchdowns, all of the ones not going to Josh Jacobs, were 20-plus yard touchdowns. 2 of them were 40-plus yard touchdowns. 2 of those going to Christian Watson, and 1 of them going to Bo Melton. The Bo Melton one in particular was a game changer. It came with less than 1 minute left in the second quarter. And it was obviously crucial to pick up that touchdown right before halftime. Obviously, with the touchdown being the difference in this game, you could almost even say that is the difference in the game is them getting that touchdown late, right before halftime. And then just them obviously being able to close it out with Josh Jacobs. at the end of the game there. But just going through some stats, Jordan Love, 17 of 25, 234, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack. So a really, really good game from him. 20 carries for Josh Jacobs, 86 yards and a touchdown. So did what he needed to do for you in fantasy. Was efficient, and that's I think what allowed them to be able to hurt uh, the Bears over the top in this one. Christian Watson, only 4 catches, but as I mentioned, the 2 touchdowns, 89 yards. Bo Melton, just the 1 catch, but a 45-yard touchdown. Jaden Reed back for this one, 3 catches, 4 catches, 31 yards. Luke Musgrave, the tight end, stepping up mostly to try and replace Tucker Kraft, 2 catches for 22 yards. His competition, Josh Wiley, 1 catch for 21 yards. And then on the defensive side of the ball, just wanted to mention Ezra and Cooper, over 11 combined tackles. Kingsley Enagbare with a sack. And then Keyshawn Nixon with an interception. So, just shouting those guys out. Obviously an interception in a one possession game is a big, big deal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in my opinion, this was the second best game of the entire weekend. I had so much fun watching this game in the later window. Like, there was a reason it was moved to the game of the week. I mean, it was pretty much the most important playoff implication game. The Texans at the Chiefs. Oh, I get to talk about the Texans. Yeah, so the Texans, they're going to be scary if they do indeed 100% make the playoffs and or win the AFC South. That defense made Mahomes absolutely positively miserable. CJ Stroud went 15 for 31, so a little under 50% completion. Had an 80.4 rating. He got the 1 touchdown. They ran the ball. What you expect when you play the Chiefs, about 100 yards or close to. Not by one player, just add it all together. Woody Marks did most of the work. Nick Chubb got hurt in this game as well on his only carry in the game. Nico Collins balled out 4 for 121. But Woody Marks got the receiving touchdown from CJ, and then Dylan Ogunjobi came in on a play in the red zone when Woody Marks went down after Nick Chubb went down. That was to open up the scoring in this game. Obviously, Woody Marks came back. But other than that, let's talk about the defense. That's the only reason we care about the Texans at this point. Lallister got another interception. So did Petrie. Both of them are just absolutely studs at their positions. And then Al Shazier also got an interception. That's the one that went off Kelsey's fingertips to pretty much seal the game. And then sacks, they had one. They had a half a sack. They only got to him 1.5 times for a guy that had both his left tackle, right tackle, and then his backup left tackle go out on the first play of the game. They did a good job protecting Mahomes, but he was also under duress, and he was hit multiple times, even though he wasn't technically sacked. The man got absolutely destroyed back there, but they protected from the sacks. But the defense did its job. Every time Mahomes was getting close to scoring, he would either throw an interception, there'd be a fumble. Like, just not a good day for the Chiefs in general. Injuries coming out of this game. Woody Marks is good for this week. Nick Chubb's down for this week, and maybe see an increase on Ogunjobi's carries, but maybe not. Really all depends who they call up from the practice squad, because Ogunjobi is considered more of a fullback than a running back. So we'll see. But, Texans are thin there, but yeah, they're thin everywhere in the offense with all the injuries they've absorbed to their backups players. But, they're playing good football. Offense is very boring at times, but, they win games. That's really all that matters. And they are in the driver's seat and in a playoff spot right now at the 7th seed.
Yeah.
So, good for them. Go ahead.
Moving on to the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, they may have protected Mahomes from the sacks. They did not protect him in terms of the environment. He finished 14 of 33 for
No.
160, 3 interceptions, 2 sacks, a 19.8 quarterback rating. So, my goodness, I mean that's worse than guys like Brady Cook that we've talked about in this earlier on in this video, the backup for the Jets and stuff like that. That just really goes to show you how good this Texans defense is, that they can force someone that good to be that bad over the course of a 60-minute game. 2 of those interceptions, I think you mentioned one of them, were of the variety where they're thrown to Travis Kelsey. Travis Kelsey, it hits him in the hands, pops up off of him, and then is intercepted. That happened for 2 of those 3 interceptions. So really making Kelsey look bad in this game too. Um, Kelsey ended up finishing with 1 catch for 8 yards on 5 targets. So there were more interceptions thrown Travis Kelsey's way than catches by Travis Kelsey in this game. Really goes to show you how bad this was from the Chiefs. Mahomes was their best rusher, 7 carries for 59 yards. By comparison, you had Hunt on 12 carries getting 30 yards and Pacheco getting 30 carries on 9 yards. So only 1 more yard for both of them on 14 more carries. Just really not efficient anywhere. From a receiving standpoint, we talked about how bad Travis Kelsey was. Xavier Worthy, 3 catches for 55 yards. Okay day against a defense that's good. But Rashee Rice, 4 catches for 34 yards. Really an underwhelming day from him. Got absolutely blasted on a play in this game as well. Was surprised that he came back in and finished the rest of the game, but it was a game that the Chiefs absolutely needed to win. So he probably felt that he actually had to play through it. Getting over to the defense, Nick Bolton had 12 combined tackles. You had sack from Karlaftis, sack from Chris Jones, and then a half for Ashton Galat and Jerry Tillery. But you expect more from that defense when they're playing an offense like the Texans. The Texans don't set the world on fire with that offense, as you were mentioning, and especially once Nick Chubb goes down, you certainly expect that they could do a little bit more. But they kind of got gashed by Nico Collins in this game, and that ultimately proved to be the difference. I know that Nico Collins didn't put up 3 touchdowns in this one, but that's not what you need to beat the Chiefs nowadays. You really just need 2 touchdowns, a couple of field goals, and some good defense to be able to get it done. And that's exactly what the Texans were able to do. The big thing I think for the Chiefs in this one is that they went down 10-0 in the third quarter. They were able to bring that back and make this a 10-10 game. But then they really just got stomped out in the fourth quarter, giving up 10 points and losing this game 20-10 while they got shut out. So, I don't know how much this team really has left in the tank. It certainly looked like that in the fourth quarter when they were, trying to throw the ball to Travis Kelsey, and he was, popping it up off his hands and the ball getting intercepted, deep in their own territory. So, it's not looking good for the Chiefs. I believe they've got a 2% chance of winning their division now at this point, and their playoff chances are rapidly slipping away as well.
They are at an 18% chance at the highest. And they need a lot of things to go right. They actually have a better chance of being eliminated this week than making their percentage go up based on just a win. If the Chargers beat them, the Bills beat the Patriots, the Jaguars win their game, and the Texans win their game, Kansas City season is completely, utterly over. That's all we need. So be prepared for everything to go the other way. Still think it could happen. But God, I hope not. I'm truly just hoping for... I mean, as far as we're into this, I'm ready for them to just be out of the playoffs. I think that would be ideal for absolutely everyone. I think even you included. Like you're ready to see a Mahomes Super Bowl.
I would love that.
I would love to see an Eagles-free Super Bowl too. I feel like they've been in it way too much in my lifetime at this point. I mean, personally, if the Bills don't make it, I would really very much like to see the Broncos win it, just because I don't. I like the Broncos to a certain degree, and they have earned our respect to a degree this year. So, yep, that's where I'm at with that. But moving on over to the next game, I just have to get it loaded. Unfortunately, with doing this with my phone, I can't just I hit back, but it takes me all the way to preseason week 1, so I have to slide all the way down. All right, we're where we need to be. We got the Eagles and Chargers game. Man, I watched this whole game waiting for you to jump on into the studio this week, and man, this game was so fun just to watch Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert throw the ball to other teams or fumble the ball, and it was just like it was one of those goofy games that you just enjoy. But yeah, I get the pleasure of talking about the Eagles. Man, I watched Jalen Hurts fumble and throw an interception on the same play, and the Chargers recover it. Any other season, the Chargers would not have recovered it. And, it's always fun to watch the Eagles be terrible. And of course, like we said, only one functional player on the offense at a time is allowed. So this was Saquon Barkley's week to come back from the dead. He had 20 carries for 122 yards and a touchdown, cementing me in the playoffs of the Captain's League as well. So thank you, Saquon, for finally doing something. I appreciate you. Jalen Hurts finished with negative fantasy points this week. He was absolutely atrocious. 4 interceptions, 1 fumble recovered by the Chargers on him. Sacked A.J. Brown. He had a decent day. He had 6 for 100, so I guess my rule is a little flawed, but this is the first time we've seen 2 players in a long time do good. The Slim Reaper, he went 4 for 37, picked up a huge first down going into that final drive, thinking that, they were going to win the game in overtime. And then Jalen Hurts said, lol, interception. Defensively, obviously, even though the Chargers scored 22 points, the defense kept them in this game completely. I saw Reed Blankenship had one of the coolest just knockdown passes in this game when he was throwing the ball over to Devontae Smith. He just stood there and was like, it was like a mic drop play. It's like, what were you throwing to, Jalen? But I really enjoyed that. Or sorry, not Jalen, Justin. That part was really awesome. Obviously, Jalen wasn't throwing to Reed Blankenship. That wouldn't make sense. Zach Bond, he had a half a sack, 8 tackles. Julian Hunt, he had 2.5 sacks. Jordan Davis had 1.5. Young had 1.5. So they were just getting after Herbert. Herbert had an absolutely miserable day, getting sacked a bunch. Kick returns, nothing crazy. Punting, nothing crazy. Jake Elliott did miss 1 field goal, so he went 4 for 5. And then he got the 1 extra point for 13 solid points altogether. But, they got to look into Jake Elliott. He has missed 7 field goals in the last 10 games. That's very concerning heading into the playoffs. But other than that, I don't have much to say on the Eagles. They stink. They're right on schedule for their every other season, mid-season collapse, if you will, supernatural funk. And the Cowboys are still right there, ready to win the division. They now officially have the same amount of losses.
Yeah, I mean, I'll move on to the Chargers here. So, you mentioned that Jake Elliott missed field goal. That ends up being the difference, obviously, in this one. In addition to that, you mentioned Philly's defense. The only reason why this went into overtime and ended up being an overtime win for the Chargers was because they kicked 4 field goals in regulation and 5, including the one in overtime. So, you really got to give it up to the Eagles defense. They played their butts off in this one,
Yeah.
and it's just totally on Jalen Hurts and all of those turnovers as to why they lost this game. But getting over to the Chargers, Herbert, a kind of modest game. In fact, maybe even a bad game from him. 12 of 26, 139, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, took 7 sacks. in this game. So I don't know if you want to head back over after I wrap up the Chargers here and go through some of those sacks because that's a lot of sacks um,
I
for
did.
a team.
I talked about the Eagles
Okay,
getting the
sorry, I must have just missed that when I was going through some of the Chargers, stuff myself. But in addition to that passing work from Justin Herbert, you had 10 carries for 66 yards. You had Omari and Hampton with 13 carries for 56 yards. You had Kamani Vidal with 14 carries for 44 yards. So a lot of good, volume and efficiency from those backs. Omari and Hampton with 4.3. Justin Herbert was 6.6, and Kamani Vidal with a lot to be desired up to 3.1. But you did get Kamani Vidal adding a 60-yard catch as well, so it's not like he had a completely bad day. What I would say was a bad day was all of the receivers for the Chargers in this one. Keenan Allen 3 for 22. Trey Harris 1 for 18. Lab McConkey 1 for 12. Omar and Hampton adding 2 for 11. Quentin Johnson 2 for 8. Aronde Gadsden 1 for 7. So just really, really not great days from the Chargers, receivers. In this one, Herbert did hurt his wrist and underwent surgery midweek. So don't expect for Herbert and the passing attack as well as these receivers to be showing out necessarily next week. Um, they are playing the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have a relatively good pass defense as well. So, I would look for them to potentially struggle given Herbert's injury. Moving on to the defense, they do have a number of stats here, so I just want to read those off. Tony Jefferson with an interception, Cam Hart with an interception, Deshaun Hand with an interception, Dante Jackson with an interception, Troy Dye with a fumble recovery. So just a lot of contributions all over this defense, and very, very important with it going into overtime and being a 3-point spread in the end.
Yeah, it was a great game. Just defensive battle. It was a troll game. But you can move on to the Cowboys and
Lions.
Lions. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Cowboys
That's
Lions. This is the Thursday night game. This is my game of the week with the Giants being off and bye this week. I will say Giants may have been off and bye, but it was a very important week for them with the Titans winning. They move into the slot for the number one pick next year. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. I have seen some stuff saying that we may try and trade that down. If we do end the season with that number one pick, we do still play the Raiders. So it's very much in question of whether or not we'll still have that. But I have seen some things about if we do end up with that number one, potentially trading it back to the Jets and having them pick Mendoza at 1 overall. So, interesting week nonetheless for the Giants, even though they didn't play. But getting to this Cowboys-Lions game, Thursday night game, Cowboys visiting the Lions. The Lions they put up 44 points in this game. They made that Cowboys defense look like those trades at the trade deadline never happened, and that this is the same Cowboys defense that we had been seeing all season prior to that, because they were scoring basically at will in this game. A lot of people thinking Amon-Ra St. Brown wasn't going to play in this one, given the ankle sprain that he had sustained in the Sunday game prior to this, but he did play in this one. It was mostly as a decoy, but he did get a touchdown in this one, finishing the game with 6 receptions, 92 yards. Excuse me, he did not get a touchdown this one. Just 6 catches for 92 yards. You had Jameson Williams adding 7 catches for 96 yards. You had Jahmyr Gibbs adding 7 catches for 77 yards. But this was a Jahmyr Gibbs day on the ground. He only had 12 carries for 43 yards, but 3 touchdowns. You had David Montgomery adding another touchdown on the ground, 6 carries for 60 yards total. And then you had Jared Goff, 25 of 34 for 309 and a touchdown. Also took 1 sack. So, pretty much a good game all around from the offense there. The Lions defense did step up in some big moments that kind of made the difference between that 44-30 scoreline. TJ Reed with an interception, Avante Maddox with a forced fumble, Jack Campbell with a forced fumble, Brian Branch with a fumble recovery, Aleem McNeil with a forced fumble. So just Jack Campbell added another sack. Al-Qadim Muhammad with 3 sacks, William McNeil with a sack. So just a pretty ridiculous day from the defense. Allowing them to get the advantage necessary for their offense to put up the points to win this game. Dak Prescott, while not the most efficient game from him, maybe one on the more sloppier side, he obviously tried his best to do everything he could to win this game, especially with Javonte Williams not being nearly as efficient as he's been for much of the season. Only 17 carries for 67 yards from him. He did add a touchdown to that, so a decent fantasy day for his managers, but not the best from an efficiency standpoint. And not the best game script for him either. But Dak Prescott finishing 31 of 47, 376 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and took 5 sacks. So, really tough day from him. CeeDee Lamb picked up a concussion in this game, so monitor his status going into the next week. I believe from everything that I've been seeing to this point in the week, he is going to be good to go. I think we did clear the protocol on Friday, so look for him to play, but temper probably some expectations for him. He finished with 6 receptions, 121 yards, and that was I want to say in the third quarter that he left, relatively early in the third quarter as well. So he was on
It
pace
was the
for.
first drive after halftime.
There you go. So he was on pace for a pretty wild day, but had to settle with that stat line. Um, you would think that George Pickens would have stepped forward in his absence, but it was really Ryan Flournoy that came forward, finishing with 9 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Um, I believe the long being a 42-yard touchdown. So, really, really good day for him, a potential breakout there. You had Jake Ferguson finishing with 5 catches, 58 yards. Pickens finishing with 5 catches, 37 yards. And then Turpin as well with 2 catches for 26 yards. Keep an eye on Ferguson. Ferguson did not practice on Friday of this week after having limited practices the rest of the week. So there is a very real possibility that he may not play this week. And if that's the case, you would be looking at guys like Luke Schoonmaker or Brevian Spanford to potentially be stepping into that spot. And with that passing attack, there could certainly be good volume there to look for. So look out for that. And then Dallas defense, really not much to speak about. There were no turnovers forced in this game. They only had 1 sack, and that was James Houston. So, really the big difference in this game was the defensive performances and what those differences in production amounted to on the scoreboard in the end.
For sure. It was a fun game. Dallas was always within 10. Just couldn't close the door. I think CeeDee Lamb going down really hurt them too. But they're still in play for the division. That's all that matters.
That's right. With the Eagles losing, they don't lose any game on them, right?
Nope. No ground was lost. But moving on over to the Bengals and the Buffalo Bills game. I'm going to talk about the Bengals first because I have a decent amount of things to say about them. Incredible game. Good game to them, but Joe Burrow, seeing his post-game interviews, that man is he is on a depressed tour compared to when we saw him a week ago when he played the Ravens. He was the happiest I've ever seen Joe Burrow. So the highest of highs to the lowest of lows losing this game. I mean, he sounds like he's about done with this. It's crazy. I don't know if this is a cry for help per se, but I mean, he's stuck in Cincinnati for the next 4 years either way with his last deal. So I mean, I don't know what you expected, man. You got exactly what you wanted though. He can't even cry. He got to keep Trey Hendrickson and he got all his wide receivers. Where he wanted the money spent, it was spent. They did exactly what he asked. So, I mean, how can you be mad now? You got what you wanted at the end of the day. It's crazy to me. But, man, that defense is terrible. Really is. Almost as bad as my defense. Granted, my defense is really, 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 really hurt. Where their defense is just bad. They spent 7 draft picks in this last draft on defense, and none of those players have hit or even made an impact.
I would say Demetrius Knight potentially, but 1 for 7 is not very good.
Yeah. I mean, Shamar Stewart, I wanted him. I'm glad we didn't get him. I just thought he looked good, like a good player, and then I saw more of his college tape, and the guy didn't even get sacks in college. I don't understand why you drafted him so high. It's crazy, but I will say this: um, T. Higgins, that I'm pretty sure that guy was concussed coming into this game. Still, I don't know if you saw it, but every time he got hit, he was just like.
And yet
But
still
I mean,
made some unbelievable touchdown catches in
he
this
did.
game.
It did not stop him from having a good game, man. He went 6 for 92, 2 touchdowns. He ate Tre'Davious White up alive, which I predicted he would. I don't understand why we're not starting Maxwell Harrison at 2, put Trey at 3, and then have Dane Jackson do the slot still. The less I see Trey White in the field, the better. Not that I don't love you, it's that, buddy, you're dead after halftime in every game you play in. Like, you're just tired, and that's okay. It's okay. It's time to old yell at you at the end of the season, retire a bill, get your name on the wall of fame at the end of your career, and you'll be fine. It's going to be okay. We love you. It's time for him to go. Chase Brown, he didn't do much in the rushing game. He went 12 for 23. Perine went 6 for 31. We stopped their running game completely. But where Chase Brown did hurt us is getting receiving touchdown. He went 3 for 12. Jamar Chase went 5 for 44. We shut him down very well. Very quiet day for him. And then nothing else really of offense to note besides Mike Gillislee. That man must truly, truly hate the Buffalo Bills because every time he plays us, he has his best game of the season. And we're really good at stopping tight ends in general, so good for you. You win another round, but you didn't win the battle because we did. Defensively, they had 2 sacks in the game, one from Geno Stone, one from T. Slayton. Other than that, they did nothing of note besides get ran all over and thrown all over. And then kicking-wise, Evan McPherson kicked no field goals. He got 4 points altogether for the day. I'm going to move on to the Buffalo Bills side. I'm going to start with James Cook and his fumbling issue that's been arising the last couple weeks. Just got to get 2 hands on the ball, man. Can't fumble in the red zone. Can't fumble at all. I mean, in all reality, especially playing a team as dangerous as the Cincinnati Bengals. Can't lose possessions. On the first drive of the game, we had Ty Johnson absolutely gone for a touchdown. He got tackled by the snow monster. I'd like to point out that this game got flipped on its head by us by 14 points, but if we didn't fumble a ball and get tackled by the snow monster, this game would have been very much a one-sided game offensively. You're talking about losing 14 points. That puts you at 49 at 10. It would have been a 54-34 final. I mean, it was a close game, but in my mind, it wasn't. Josh Allen, he went nuclear, 22 for 28, 251 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did get hit. He did get sacked twice, as we did talk about. James Cook went 18 for 80, 0 touchdowns, 2 fumbles. Josh Allen went 9 for 78, carrying the ball and a touchdown. He broke the team record for the longest run by a quarterback. Again, what else is new? Broke the all-time rushing touchdown record again. Broke his own record, increased it by 1. So every time he scores a rushing touchdown, the Bills' social media team's really annoying and says, "Hey, Josh Allen just broke a record." I really hope they stop doing that because I'm sick of getting that tweet. We know he's the record holder. Dawson Knox had the best game of the season for him. 6 for 93, no touchdowns. Dalton Kincaid, he went 4 for 41 and a touchdown. James Cook went 2 for 31, so he had over 100 yards on the day. Gabe Davis went 2 for 21. The other touchdown in the receiving games came from Jackson Hawes and Khalil Shakir. Shakir went 2 for 16 and a touchdown, same as Coleman, minus the touchdown. Defensively, we did get 1 sack. That was Christian Benford. We got 2 interceptions. One was by Christian Benford for a touchdown. So he had a sack, touchdown, and interception. And then the previous week he had the fumble return for a touchdown and an interception. So Christian Benford's been playing out of this world. Of course, he got hurt at practice this week. A toe injury that's making him questionable. Somebody stepped on him. I blame Ed Oliver's horses. If you don't get that joke, that's the Bills Mafia. Every time somebody gets stepped on, we blame Ed Oliver's horses at this point. AJ Epinesa also had an interception on back-to-back plays. Christian Benford, the first one, then AJ Epinesa. And then we obviously scored another touchdown there. Special teams didn't do much. Matt Prater went 7 for 7. He didn't go 7 for 7. He went 1 for 1 on field goals, 4 for 4 for a total of 7 points. Other than that, I'm done talking about the game itself, but something I do want to mention, we have a few players coming back from injury this week. We're going to have James Palmer. Dalton Kincaid was 100% practiced all week, so he's even in better shape coming off this last game. We have we had one other big injury return coming this week. Oh, Bernard. He's questionable, so he might play. As I said last week, I'd rather start Shaq Thomas. Can't think of names at this point. He's been playing really good. I'd like to see Bernard only come in on passing plays, not running plays. Keep Shaq out there. He's been stopping the run so well. And I know it's hard because you have 3 quality linebackers, but we got to figure out something. Or move Terrell Bernard into an inside linebacker role and take him out of the middle and keep Shaq in the middle. Whatever we got to do. I don't care how we do it. They can all be on the field. I mean, we do run that kind of defense most of the time. So other than that, not much to note. Have a lot of passionate speech for this Patriots game, but I'm not even going to cover that here. That's going to be on the preview and prediction show with all our other stuff. Other than that, do you have anything to add on this game?
I don't. It was a big win for the Bills. It was one that looked pretty improbable there. Start of the fourth quarter, and then you had that pick six. You had the interception on the next drive as well, and everything turned on its head.
Yeah, I mean, no game's over until it's over, really. At least this season, for the most part, with us. I mean, we're the cardiac kids this year. We're usually in the opposite role of that, hoping not for cardiac arrest. But you know what? The season is all like as awful as everybody says we are. We're 9-4. We're right there. A few things go right, and we could get all the way up to the 1 seed. But we are not dead in this division by any means necessary. We win this game, and the Patriots drop another game. We're back in first place. It's all right there for the taking. I'm not in any way, shape, or form scared at this point that we're not going to make the playoffs. We're pretty much locked in with another win either way. So all we have to do is just keep winning. Ideally, win out in the playoffs, win the Super Bowl, but we'll see what happens. Got a better chance than most teams making the playoffs, at least. At least what are supposed to be the elite of the elite. It's only us. The Bengals are gone. The Ravens are gone. The Chiefs are gone. And most of them are 1 game away from death. So I'm enjoying it.
As you should.
But we'll close out the show here. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, follow all the social medias. You'll see the handle on the screen here when Brian puts it up. But we appreciate all of you. I'll let Brian finish up the outro.
Yes, so we will see you all tomorrow for our week 15 preview video. Stay tuned for our fantasy start sits and look out for our predictions. It will be fantasy playoff week 1, so looking forward to hopefully trying to get you guys some wins in those first rounds of the playoffs, and hopefully some of you have some buys and don't even have to worry about guys like Kyle Pitts going off on Thursday night. So, but with that, we wish you guys a great weekend, and we'll see you on Sunday.